Eid Mubarak! Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I am Siti Mariam and you can call me Mariam, your host for today's podcast. I hope everyone is in a good condition and had a great holiday as we just celebrated the Eid celebration last week. Sad to say, but now is the time we go back to the reality and start our routine schedule. Well, it might not be as comforting, but hey, look at me. I'm also a student who is trying to get A for my assignment, right? Now, before we move on to our topic of the day, let's hear the introduction. Oh my god! I can still vividly imagine all of the food that I consumed in the past week. It was very delicious. And yeah, when it comes to Malaysia, food is very vital where we have a variety of food from each ethnicity. Just imagine, Malay, Chinese, Indians, Orang Asli, Kadazan Dusun and more each have their own unique food. Our reputation as food paradise did not just fall from tree, However, did you or did you not know that there are still many people in our country who are struggling with hunger and food insecurity? According to the 2022 Global Hunger Index, Malaysia presently ranks 58 out of 121 nations with a GHI score of 12.5, indicating moderate hunger. It might seem like we're not in a bad condition, but if to compare with 2014, where our GHI score is at 10.9, we are actually showing signs of worsening. In fact, the score keeps on increasing and we might move on to the stage of serious hunger if we did not take any action. This is not a baseless imagination because I bet everyone still remember when we had COVID-19 and there was a time where we publicized the usage of white flag, which is to help those people who suffered financially, mainly because they lost their jobs and struggled to put food on their table. Well, yeah, we might witness the same situation if we keep a blind eye on this issue. This brings to my topic of the day, which is the power of love, where I humbly suggest to all my fellow Malaysians to normalize giving food as donation, especially towards the low-income families and vulnerable communities. The reason behind my idea comes from an article that I read, written by Mohidin Abdul Qadir, where he mentioned that every single day, Malaysians throw about 4,046 tons of food that still can be eaten. And this amount of food can be fed towards 3 million people for 3 meals per day. Wow, just imagine how much food waste that we have been making these years when in fact there are still many people out there that can use it to fulfill their stomach. I believe if we manage to make giving food on a regular basis as the new norm in our society, our life quality will be enhanced greatly. There are many benefits that we can gain from food donation, besides reducing food waste that usually will go straight to the landfills. As I mentioned earlier, there are still many individuals or even families that faces hunger and food insecurity. And by giving them food, it might help lessen their burden a little bit. Have you ever heard about Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Well, basically, this hierarchy suggests that people will have to fulfill their basic needs before they can move on to advanced needs. If they cannot even have food on the table, it will be hard for them to think about something else. Thus, if we can carry some of their burdens, they might have the opportunity to think about other ways to improve their life quality. Moreover, when we normalize food donation, one way or another, it can help foster a sense of community and social responsibilities. On top of that, when we donate food, we also can prepare a healthy and nutritious meal where we can show our love toward others. In this superficial world, it is very easy to forget that we humans cannot live without each other. Humanity is something that we should treasure every day. With that being said, we are very lucky that Malaysia is a country that's full of organizations that still care about the people and open to food donations. Firstly, we can find food banks and food pantries, such as Yayasan Food Bank Malaysia and Food Aid Foundation, where they collected and distribute food to those in need. Non-perishable food items such as canned goods, rice and pasta are commonly accepted as they can be stored for a longer time. Secondly, we have charitable organizations that use the food to feed the hungry, such as the homeless and low-income families. In Malaysia, we have Charity Right Malaysia, under the program Feed to Educate, and Kachara Soup Kitchen that has been a great help, especially in the COVID-19 crisis. Thirdly, we have the religious organizations where people will donate food to these mosques, churches, and temples. They then will distribute it to the community who are in need. In fact, my mosque in my village also frequently does this. Thinking back, we as individuals and businesses also have our own ways to support food donation instead of only hoping on such organizations. Sometimes when we cook food, especially the business and food industry, it is understandable to have excess food. So instead of throwing them out, we should donate them to the community or other people that we knew in need. For example, my auntie sells food in front of her house, and sometimes when there is excess food, she will give it for free to the stray people in our village. Maybe it is not a big gesture, however, it did help them to be full for that day, right? Okay, moving on, food drive is another way to contribute to food donation, and it will need the cooperation of our community. We can put a person in charge of this activity and they will drive around the community to collect food and eventually distribute it towards the needy. Furthermore, we can always spend our time by volunteering at these food bank and charitable organizations. Usually, we will help them to sort and distribute the food donations. We can gain lots of valuable lessons with this experience as we will encounter these unfortunate people and learn their hardships. You know, sometimes these people did not have the opportunity to get themselves out of the harsh lifestyle they are in. And we might just realize how lucky we are to be living our life now. Last but not least is to support these food-related charities. We can donate money to charity that address food-related concerns such as hunger and malnutrition. There are many categories of charity in Malaysia, like cancer, children care, and others. But in my personal opinion, food is the first important basic necessities that we should tackle. As far as the benefits of the food donation goes, I actually stumbled upon one article when I was doing my research on this topic, and it claimed that giving food to charities is actually not a solution to food poverty. They stated that food poverty is a bigger problem that should be tackled by the government. They also explained that if we keep on organizing food donation, the government will have less pressure to solve the underlying causes of food insecurities, which are mostly economic factors. In fact, they mentioned that these charity organizations are one of the signs of the government's failure, as the public authorities did not handle the situation well. On top of that, they were worried about the quality of the food given, as it depends on the individual who donates them. It might not be healthy, and some of them regard giving food donation as undignified, as it is considered as leftovers. So, I post up a question in my Instagram story and WhatsApp status about this issue to collect the people's opinion. Now, let's read some of their comments, shall we? Alright, for this session, I will only pick a few of the comments and read it out. So firstly, we have Nur Aina, where she stated,
I agree that it doesn't solve food poverty, but it is one of the good ways to at least reduce the percentage of poverty in a day. I saw many associations doing charity by giving food to homeless or hunger people every day. And talking about food quality, I hope people who want to do food donations should be aware of what they give. Sincerity is the most important aspect in the terms of giving. Perhaps these people require to attend talk regarding food nutrition or humanity in order to understand someone's shoes.
yeah, I cannot agree more with Aina because although we did mention to give food as donation, we never meant that we would only give excess food. We can always give brand new food where we specifically cook for these homeless people. The next one is from Alia Shazwani, where she stated,
In my opinion, I think food donation is one of the good ways that can prevent food poverty crisis because food donation can help people that struggle to get food in their daily life.
It seems like Alia here shared the same opinion with us for today. She doesn't think that food donation is a bad thing. So let's see the other one. This is by Kasha, and he comment that
It is true that the government should be responsible in solving this issue. However, if we only depend on them, it will take years or almost impossible to solve it in the nearest time. Isn't it better if each community tried to tackle this issue within their own circle? Just imagine, if each village helped the needy in their place, eventually the number will decrease. If everyone played their roles in a society, I believe to reach zero hunger is not impossible.
so for him it is better for the whole community to take action on this issue, which I also agree. But he still thinks that food donation is a good way to tackle this issue. Let's take the last one from Jiha Istfa. Wow, this is a long one. Alright, she said that
I do think that food donation is a bad way to solve hunger issues because have you ever realized that no matter how many food donations are distributed, the moment the stocks have come to the last one, the receiver will yet again back to square one. People give donation, receiver use it to the last bit and repeat. It is a never-ending cycle. And food donation will not come to them for their whole life. It can only help to supply for a while. That is only if the food donation comes in a dry food like rice, tins of sardines, bottles of ketchup and sauce, maybe some vegetables and frozen food. But for how long will it last before they reach the expiration date? There might be some people who donate fresh food, but there are also food donation that comes from the leftover stock at the supermarket. It might seem like the food will not be thrown as a waste, but how can we know when will the stock last before its expired date? The receiver will continue to use it despite the due date just because they don't have anything else to feed their family. In this case, I think that food donation like this are not 100% safe to be consumed. Or worse, the receiver might have a chance to get food poisoning to the point they need a serious medical attention and probably exposed to other diseases. That's the reasons why I don't think food donation helps to solve food hunger.
I can totally see where is her concerns coming from. If we keep on giving food donation without actually think for a real solution, we might see this phenomenon to keep on continue. And indeed, they might actually risk their own health and well-being in order to survive. To conclude, we can see here that some of them do think that food donation will not entirely solve the food poverty issues, but that does not mean that we cannot do them. Meanwhile, there are also people who agree that we should stop food donation in order to solve this problem in a wider perspective. However, in my personal opinion, we should do our best to help others, and food donation does not only help them to be better, but it will also increase our own value and become a better person. It seems like we almost reached to an end of our podcast session for today. And once again, I would like to encourage all of the listeners to try food donation at least once in their lifetime. It might be awkward for you at first, but when you give it time, it will be better. Believe me. And just a reminder, food insecurity and hunger in Malaysia is still a critical issue that none of us should look away. And food donation is an essential way to tackle them. Just like how Gandhi once said, be the change you want to see in the world. Which means that in order to have a better world, we should start the changes in ourselves first. That is all from me. Thank you for listening. And this podcast is brought to you by IPRS MA.